All right, welcome to your podcast for people who think the government sucks at everything that they do. You are sick of our crappy two-party system. You are tired of the crappy candidates we get to vote for. You're tired of the failures of everything going on in this country. If that sounds interesting to you, this is your place, because that's what I'm trying to get across here, because there are lots of really dumb things going on right now, and especially with the impending election. It is getting ridiculous with the number of freaking campaign ads I have to watch as I watch a football game for every single every single commercial break, every single punt, every single timeout. I got to see a commercial about why Trump sucks. Then I got to see a commercial about why Kamala Harris sucks, and then I get to see these commercials about candidates that I don't know anything about for all their positions, and it gets really old. It's quite frankly ruining the enjoyment. Well, not quite. It could ruin the enjoyment of football had I not had YouTube TV, which is absurdly expensive, but they have the multi-view feature, which is nice. So you can watch 4 games at once, and as soon as I see a political ad, at least I don't have to hear it. I can just flick it off. That's any better. I could just, shut the flick it over to the next screen, and I can listen to whatever game's on. It's right now Oregon, Ohio State, 22-21 Oregon. It's just out of the halftime. And a couple of good games today. Penn State did not get upset. Unfortunately. I'm a Michigan fan, so I like to pull for teams in the Big Ten that are not pull for teams that are not Michigan to lose, but whatever. Especially I don't like Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State. Michigan sucks this year, so don't even try to come at me with that. I'm aware. Probably just suck for a few years now. Oh well, it's just a game. So I'm right now. It's like the perfect fall night here in Michigan. It's cold. It's 50 something degrees, and it's raining. I don't know if you can hear that. It's the sun and rain hitting my grill cover. It's cold and rainy, and football's on, and man, it is just, fall is here. And tomorrow, since I'm finally recovering, I will get my opportunity to go deer hunting tomorrow. It's bow season in Michigan. Can't wait. I should have been out, on October 1st for the bow season, but because it's the new dates here, but I couldn't go. I've been sick. I've been hacking up lungs, and my wife's been sick, and everybody's been sick, and it's been a real great time. So now that the election is just around the corner, Kamala Harris has kicked it into high gear out of desperation to try to actually, accrue some support and potentially, move past Trump with their neck and neck. And it's getting really, really, really annoying when you have to see the 24/7 press. And it's no longer that thing it was where when Biden stepped down, Harris became like this phenomenon, and there was all this media buzz, and then it kind of just sort of went away. Like people were just like not as excited about it. Now listen, I'm sure that the voters there are like, oh, she's still amazing. Whatever. If you're a Democrat, I feel sorry for you. But if that's the case, you're voting for her regardless, right? Same with Trump. People are going to vote for Trump are going to vote for Trump. There's not really much left at this point to do to win people over. Now, I guess while we're sitting here on October 12th, I really want to have a conversation about where is Joe Biden at? Like, what is the deal with this person? Because as my major focus here is to convey to you how much we need a better party, one that is focused on the original foundational tenets of this country, one that gets rid of government overreach, government oversight, gets rid of overregulation, gets rid of constant spending, right? The best way to do that is to show you the faults and failures of the current system that we live under. When I say system, I mean the parties that we live under. And it's a really crazy thing when you think about Joe Biden. Sometimes I have these moments where I'm like, oh, that's right. That guy's still the president, isn't he? I can't believe it either. But sure seems like a time right now where we need a pretty strong leader going into these impending wars that are looming off in the horizon. Cough drop. Sorry if this is annoying. I understand. I just my throat will swell up. It will swell up. My throat will go hoarse in it. So you won't be able to hear me talk. Oh, in case you all are wondering, Ariana Grande and Stevie Nicks are doing Saturday Night Live tonight. So if you want to watch something that's not funny, after football's over, you can watch that. Remember when Saturday Night Live used to be funny? That was a long time ago. But Joe Biden's disappearance is essentially what this is, because we've had, major disasters. And the dude was like, I was on the phone for 2 hours trying to figure out disaster relief after the first hurricane. But other than that, there hasn't been any real press surrounding what he's doing because they don't care. What's interesting, if you think about it, is there are two camps of this whole thing. There are those trying to distance her from the accomplishments of the tenure of Joe Biden because it was such a catastrophic failure. But then you'll have her go up and she'll say things like, well, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, being a part of this administration, it's such an accomplished administration. And you hear this a lot from Democrats now, how Joe Biden is just so accomplished. He's just not appreciated. Nobody appreciates what he did. That's the problem, right? He's just underappreciated. And it's interesting, if he's that accomplished, then why did you replace him? Because you're clearly trying to attach her to some semblance of the current regime. Well, at the same time, you're not. So you're either saying that Joe Biden was a failure, which you're not openly saying. So you're saying that he was a success, but you decided not to run with him. And then you denied the whole time that he was cognitively impaired and that he was on the decline and that, we needed to, shut up about that because behind closed doors, the guy was sharp as a tack, remember? Well, he's clearly, oh man, Oregon's getting burned on these wide open receivers here. He's clearly so sharp as a tack that they decided to tell him to step down. And we actually haven't gotten a reason still. Isn't that crazy? The Democratic Party basically called this dude up. I don't even know if they called him up. I think they were like, hey, Joe, I just put out a letter on your X account that you're stepping down from the presidency. And bye. And we still haven't gotten an answer about what the hell happened, why he stepped down, if he's so accomplished, why they wanted to get away from him. And, there's just, it's the whole thing is so broken and so shattered and so, it's depressing that I'm sitting here watching political ads while I'm trying to relax, watch some football on a beautiful fall Saturday, and I have to see these ads and I'm like, what is the point of this? How long is this going to carry on? How long are we going to pretend like this crap matters? They really, really want to put it out there like you have this, you're so, you're what are they? They're also obsessed with democracy, your right to vote, things like that. But it's like, when you get these people, when you vote these people in office, you don't have a say in anything. They can do whatever they want, and they do. And then not only that, there's people that make laws in our country that you don't elect that can do whatever they do. And it's like, can you just stop subjecting us to the political ads because they're pointless? Somebody's going to win the election in a month. And then all your other positions that people are running in, they're going to have their elections and they're going to get elected. And they're all going to show up and they're going to go into into office, and then they're going to proceed to just do whatever they want, as long as they're probably towing the party line. You may have a few people that will try to push back, not many. And it was funny because yesterday I put out my Substack newsletter. If you can check it out if you want to. I did put a story in there. It was Mike Johnson, our fearless Speaker of the House. Let me pull this up here. Dun, 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 dun. Just bear with me 1 second. Ohio State just scored a touchdown, by the way. In case you're wondering. I'm sure you're watching it. This video will have come out anyways after. I can't do live streaming where I'm at. I don't have good enough internet. So this is a story that I pulled up yesterday. This is all kind of tied into like the whole government. This, like, our voting's an illusion, right? This here is a story from justthenews.com. It's based off of other, it's based off of comments he made to something called, I want to say what the hell the name of this place is. To Punch Bowl News. Don't know what that is. Not going to pretend to know what that is, but the title of it is, he doesn't have an appetite to fund Ukraine anymore, report. And he's saying that when Trump comes in, that Trump will be able to get this war to end. But if Harris comes in, we'll just be doing this forever. Now, interestingly enough, the war will continue whether you continue to fund it or not. So, as far as Trump getting the war to end is irrelevant to me, because, I mean, that would be fantastic if he could. But if Harris wants to keep the war going forever, which is an interesting way to put it, then, some point you're just going to have to stand up to these people and say, nope, no more funding, no more money. It's just amazing to me that the ending of human suffering and catastrophic wars hinges on elections. It hinges on people that go out. It hinges on campaigns and elections. And these people will get and they'll get in office and say, you can vote for war, you can vote for not war. You can vote to continue the war, you can vote to end the war. But in the meantime, you got people like this guy, who is the Speaker of the House, who can control a lot. See, I don't really have the appetite to keep funding this war anymore, but if Kamala gets elected, what am I supposed to do? The war is just going to continue. We got to continue to help our friendly democracy over there. That democracy that canceled elections and canceled opposing press. And Zelensky's out here doing the tour, trying to drum up more financial support. Meanwhile, cat incoming. Let me pause this real quick. Got my trusty sidekick here, Whit. He has to hang out in here as I record every night. And if I shut the door in the office, he has to come join me. So if you love him, you should like my video and subscribe to my channel, and you should comment and share. And go to my Substack. Follow me on X. Right, Whit? Right. So this guy, he's a lot of control. He can, do things about this Ukraine thing with the funding aspect of it. But you're talking here about, great. I have another cat trying to get in here now. So we have this stuff going on with the hurricane. There's no money to be had here for the hurricane victims because FEMA's blown through it all. Not even that. FEMA, I saw somebody talking from Open the Books or something. FEMA owes money from like a decade ago that they have to, so they get funding, they have to basically hold over money into separate, for these other expenses that have been accrued over time. Government is a joke, y'all. This thing's a joke. It's just future promises, future promises, future promises, and it ties up all this money. And this whole thing is just, it's so, this Mike Johnson thing, you don't have an appetite to keep funding it, then stop funding it. But the thing is let's just say the Republicans maintain the majority in the House, which is probably not going to happen. But if they did, Mike Johnson gets to stay the speaker. But let's say Kamala Harris wins the election. This guy's not going to do anything. He's not going to stick up to the state. He's not going to cut back funding on all this crap. You saw this recently with the spending, the continuing resolution or whatever for our budget. Otherwise, we'd shut government down. We don't want that. We don't want government to shut down. Whatever would happen if they couldn't be blowing all of our money 24/7. But you know, he was trying to make it contingent on passing an act that would require, you know, identification for immigrants to vote. And what's crazy is that's already illegal to do, and the Democrats still didn't want to go with that plan. It's so out there and blatantly obvious. But Mike Johnson, whatever, we just went through with it anyways. I think that it's interesting that he's claiming that he doesn't have the appetite to fund the war in Ukraine anymore, because the American people have long since been over this. I was over this about 8 seconds after it started, because I think war is a wasteful, stupid thing, and I know that we've been really, really adamant about keeping this thing going. But that was the interesting thing, is he says, well, if Kamala Harris gets elected, we're just going to keep the war going. You're just openly admitting that it is our government here that is part of it's a major part of the problem. They want to keep pushing the issue forever and ever and ever. And people have yet to tell me why I should care. And I'm tired of people, like, there's people out there that still care about this. I care about it in the fact that I want it to be over, and I want the dying to stop, and I want to stop spending our money that we don't have. But people will be like, you don't care if Ukraine wins? It's like, what is there to gain from this at this point? The Speaker of the House sitting here going, you sit here and you go, I don't have the appetite to do this anymore. Okay, dude. So, this is all an illusion when it comes to the elections. We're going to vote. And even people that you vote for, like this Mike Johnson dude, who's saying, I don't have the appetite to keep funding Ukraine anymore, which is probably what his constituents think, he'll still continue to fund Ukraine as long as his buddies want him to do it. As long as Mitch McConnell says he should do it. As long as whatever Democrats say he should do it. I'm so tired of these people. I'm so tired of this illusion of the election being some type of some semblance of choice. Somehow we have a real choice here. Then when they're in office, they can just do whatever they want. They do it all the time. So, excuse me for chewing my cough drop. It's disgusting. It's a caramel flavored cough drop. It's like a minty caramel. That's all I have left. It's gross. Don't buy them. Ugh. It's so horrible. It was like like down to my last few things, and this is all I could find. So, I'm sure you saw this. This was a thing that happened the other night. So I live in Michigan, and my governor is the awful and off-putting and cringe-worthy Gretchen Whitmer, who is just progressive, like just leftist as they come, and she wants to make Michigan, in my opinion, a bastion of the Democratic Party, which means she wants to turn it into another shithole like California or New York or Illinois, all these states that things are just have gone so well with their super radical progressive leftist policies. Can somebody please explain to me, is there a disconnect there? Is there people that just don't see that policy has a direct relation on how things are? Like, can you comment and tell me? Like, what I mean by that is there people that don't understand, like, the economy is directly correlated to government policy, especially on a state level, on a national level too, but like California, you have all these issues with, extremely high taxation, you have crime like crazy, you have the homeless crisis, like all this stuff is directly tied to government policy, but people, like, they don't understand that, they don't connect the dots. Like, does Gretchen Whitmer think that by doing these radical leftist progressive policies that things are going to turn out better in Michigan? And I just don't think that they have this thing going on upstairs where they think, this could be harmful in any way. It will only be beneficial. And it's just crazy to me. I just don't understand. I don't understand this mindset. So I'm thinking, like, in Texas, Senator Ted Cruz he's only a few points ahead. He could lose the Senate race in Texas to that guy Allred, which is ironic. His name is Allred, but he could lose the Senate race in Texas to a Democrat. And the big problem is Texas. Yes, I know there's been probably a lot of immigration there, but let's just say, remember during COVID, there was basically a massive mass exodus from these leftist states where people went to places like Texas and Florida. And now Texas is possibly under the threat of turning purple. And what that could mean is a lot of these people that have left their states that they lived in because they couldn't handle the strict lockdown policies, the taxation, the economy, the crime, the homelessness, all these problems. They couldn't handle it. So they left. But they're going to come here or come wherever they are, and they're going to vote for the same policies. So is it just they just don't understand? They don't understand that these policies are harmful and they're costly and economically they are not viable and they are destructive in the long term, and they lead to more radical leftist policies that, they lead to a more radical leftist policy that will just further the road to destruction. It's like I know, it's almost like a domino theory type thing. So this is kind of I'll talk about Gretchen Whitmer in a second here, but I'm just curious, like, talking about this, it sparked this in my head. Is it because people just don't understand, or they just don't care, or the things that they care about are not, like, the economy and stuff, because they are dangerously close to losing this election because of the economic failures, and you cannot convince people, like, you're just too dumb to see the economy is good. No, people don't believe it because it's not true. If their lived experience tells them otherwise, then it's just, you can't convince them that's true. You can go to the grocery store and spend, for a family of 4, I'm spending about $600 more a month than I normally did on groceries. I'm a recent graduate student. I'm self-employed, which means I'm basically unemployed, trying to find work right now. I have a PhD in history, so, yeah, good slim pickings out there, and my wife's a medical student, so we are kind of stuck. I can't go get a job somewhere else right now, so it's like, oh cool, I get to afford groceries, buy groceries that I can't afford. And then you're going to try to tell me the economy's good. Okay, well, the stock market's good. Yeah, because people that have no money can play the stock market. But like, they wonder why the economy is such a problem for them. But it's like, in reality, they just don't really care about the economy. Especially a lot of these people, they're big government leftists that want to spend. It's a party out there. So, I guess comment, tell me. Do they not understand it? Or do they not care? Or do they think in the long run, things are just going to turn around and be better? I mean, they are all like Keynesian based when it comes to economics, where just the government spends, and it will actually make the economy better, according to these people that are idiots. All right, so this story from the Gateway Pundit. There's people outside talking very loudly. It's kind of disturbing. Shameless. Harris campaign co-chair Gretchen Whitmer releases insulting statement of clearly mocking Catholics with Doritos in disturbing dominatrix skit. Now, so, crap, this isn't the original one I wanted to show you, but there's this bizarre thing where she fed a influencer a Dorito while the girl was on her knees. Very bizarre. Someone named Liz Plank. And this is it here. Let me make sure I have it pulled up. Okay. Here we go. It's so weird. What is, like, and the part where she stares at the camera is so creepy. Okay, so that's the thing. And then people were, there were a lot of people that were losing their minds, saying it was a, they were making fun of the communion or mocking it. Which could be. I don't know. It sure looks like it to me. To a degree. But she's claiming it's because of the CHIPS Act. And she's claiming the CHIPS Act is a game changer. So, once again, we have government claiming just they're going to fix everything for you. And they're going to fix our broken superconductor industry. So here we go. Chips aren't just delicious. The CHIPS Act is a game changer for U.S. tech and manufacturing, boosting domestic production of semiconductors to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers. Donald Trump would put that at risk. I don't understand how that would put them at risk, but my guess is, man, my neighbors are like yelling outside. This happens a lot on Saturday night. If you get my drift, if you ever watch some of my videos. It's a little crazy out there, you know what I'm saying? So the CHIPS Act thing, and then that apparently this is some trend that they're going around saying the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act is nothing more than government. It's government subsidies tied up in bureaucracy and red tape and checklists of certain types of people you have to hire to get the money. And it's this premise, like Donald Trump's will put it at risk, probably because he won't subsidize the chips anymore. And it's our government. We are currently $30 trillion in debt. Okay. $30 trillion. What have you gotten for any of that money? Tell me. Especially in the recent years where the spending has just skyrocketed. What have you gotten for your money? Tell me one thing. Now, I'm not talking about like, okay, during COVID, I got $900 a week for doing nothing. Like, no, not that. Like, stuff our government invests or subsidizes so many things, and which is supposed to be some investment into whatever, this industry and that. Okay, what have you gotten for that? Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing that I can see. Do you remember when Obama was president? Do you remember Obama during the presidential race against Mitt Romney? Which, gross. But do you remember him? Everything was about renewable energy and investing in renewable energy and investing in investing in alternative energy sources and like, dude, that was a decade ago. That was 12 years ago. Like, trillions of dollars of investments in all this crap, and we are not a freaking inch closer to solving the fossil fuel problem. We're not an inch closer to solving, different anything. So this idea is that you're going to invest this money in the CHIPS Act and it's somehow going to fix our superconductor problem. It's not going to do anything, because nothing they do does anything. And you will not have to answer for that money at all. And you know what a huge problem is with this government subsidy thing is there is no drive. There's nothing driving these people to do a good job. They'll get their money one way or the other, which is exactly why they're incentivizing these woke leftist hiring standards. Because let's just say you're like, all right, I don't care if you hire the best people, you need to hire these people, and you'll get your money. And you bring those people in, and let's say like they're not qualified, or they make a crap product, and you can't find enough people to work, so you can't make enough of your product, and everything falls apart. Well, guess what? Who cares? You got your money, right? If you don't believe me, look at the education system. Why do you think colleges continue to pump out? How many degrees do you think? How many people do you think graduate with bachelor's degrees every year that are utterly worthless? That cost them tens of thousands of dollars a year. They'll leave in college with 6 figures in debt. Why is it the colleges don't feel compelled to actually produce a good product where you can actually get out and get a job? Or how about this? If I go through your system and in the end, I can't find work at all. Let's say it's 10 years post-college, I can't find work at all. I want my money back. This thing was worthless. Or, how about this? How about you make it so I can afford it, so I can work while I'm in school, make enough money to pay my way through college, and I don't have to take out any student loan debt. Well, they wouldn't do that. Why is it? Well, it's because in situations like this, Joe Biden will go in and he will try to forgive the student loan debt. Why do you have to forgive student loan debt? Because they're not making enough money, of course, to pay their student loans off. Well, why aren't they? Weren't they sold a bill of goods that said, hey, if you go to college, you'll get a good job and you'll make enough money to pay these student loans off, and we'll have this never-ending flow of money coming into the federal government? Wasn't that the whole plan? Well, yeah, but it didn't work out that way. Okay, well, why? Oh, because you guaranteed that they would get funding no matter what. Well, hell, let's just jack up the prices at college. We're going to get all of our money regardless. The student loan thing is, the schools have already gotten their money. They've already gotten paid. They don't need to worry about the government canceling debt, because they've already gotten their money. They've already blown it on administration and whatever else. And you know, I don't even want to get into it too much, but if you really want to hear know what a mess is like, you should look into what's going on at universities around this country. You should try to work in one or go to one and be in it, deeply embedded into a department. You should try going to a medical school. Okay, just saying. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. So there's people close to me that it's a complete joke. You have people on staff that get paid money and you don't even know why they're there. Get paid a lot of money. And it's all because the schools are guaranteed their money, plus they get their endowments, plus they get their donations, plus they get, it's a joke. The whole thing is a complete joke. And it's because the whole system is guaranteed. It was just like, do you remember what happened in 2008 with the housing bubble crash? Do you not, or 2007? Do you know what the deal was with that? Well, the government backed crappy mortgages. So of course people took advantage of that and said, oh hell, we'll just freaking bust out, mortgages for anybody. Who cares? We'll just refinance them later. And that crashed our economy. A lot of that is because government would guarantee to back these things. There's no incentive to do a good job when the government is going to guarantee that they're going to give you your money and back you. The same thing goes with the CHIPS Act. I keep seeing this thing going around that there's record investment in superconductors because of the CHIPS Act. It's just like, that makes no sense. Because if people are out there building, so basically what you're saying, if I'm guaranteed the government's going to give me a bunch of money to build superconductors, and let's just say I'm a guy, I don't care a crap about superconductors, or I don't really care, I'm not trying to sell these on the private market. So, Oregon scored a touchdown. Man, that's a good game. Let's just say I'm not trying to sell them I'm not trying to make a profit from the public. I just want that government money that's guaranteed. Well, if let's say I'm a industrialist who always takes advantage of government subsidies, well, hell, I'll just go out and build my crappy factory and I'll jam it with people that are not qualified for the job, and I'll be guaranteed to get that money. And then when I lose all that I won't lose that investment because the government gave it to me. It's not a organic type of investment. And there are superconductors being built out there by on the free market that would get investment, but guess what? Those people are going to be incentivized to do a good job, because if they don't, they're out of business. That's how the free market should work. You should be incentivized to actually do a good job. Right now, if you're going to go out and buy a used car, which may be illegal, and if we get another Kamala Harris term and they continue to just destroy we have all these electric car standards, which, another thing too, the government funds to build charging stations for electric cars, and guess how many they built? Like a handful. But if you want to buy a good used car, do you buy a Chevy or a Ford or a Dodge? Nope. Why? Well, because they're crap. Go driving down the road right now and tell me how many used cars you even see. And tell me about what era you think they're from. Because remember, 10 years ago, you used to see used cars everywhere. Everybody drives a new car now. But if you see used cars, who makes them? Oh, like Toyota. Brands like that. Because American-made cars are junk now. And there's no incentive to make good American cars because people just, the government, look what happened when the automotive industry crashed. Got bailed out. Well, we don't have an incentive in this country to build good things anymore unless it's on the free market. Plain and simple. Once upon a time, I'm a historian, so I did do history, a research project once on the sit-in strike at General Motors, which was a major turning point for unions. It was for some like a public history project. But, you know, go back and look at how many freaking look at how many automotive companies we used to have in this country. Now we have what? The big three. What's that what they call it? That's what they call it, right? How many new car companies come on the market? You got like Tesla and anything else. And Tesla filled a niche. Back then there were so many automotive companies popping up, and they got survival of the fittest, free market weeded out the good ones, right? And in the end, you have three monsters left that aren't that good anymore, but they're all that's left. And even though their cars were crap back in the day, they're not. I don't know if they're any good now. I haven't bought a new car in forever. But let's say, you know, I'm talking like back in like 2009, 2010, you know, these things were falling apart. The government came in and bailed them out. And this whole idea that the CHIPS Act will somehow be a resounding success, it really makes you question the intellect of the people that believe this kind of stuff. And it should really make you despise the people that are purveyors of this type of bullcrap. There's nothing there that should tell you that, oh, if a government subsidizes anything, it's good. It's good for things. You know, there's always this thing, remember growing up in school, they go around talking about those evil robber barons, right? The Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and is it Carnegie? You know, those people. And there's actually an interesting book out there called The Myth of the Robber Barons. You should read it. It's an interesting book. It's history. And as a libertarian, it's, you know, it's one of the libertarian library books there in my libertarian library. But the idea that these robber barons were somehow, you know, they made it was unfair because of how dominant they were. Well, the reason they became so dominant was because they had a superior product. For example, Vanderbilt, it was in the shipping industry, and Vanderbilt, you know, in the maritime industry, and you know, he had competitors who were government subsidized, and guess what? Vanderbilt won out because his product was superior. That's how things should work. The government incentivizing investment in things like superconductors is not good. And I can promise you, who's going to get the first dibs on those superconductors? Do you think your new cell phone or your new Ford F-150 or your new computer is going to get those? No. Defense is going to get those, which is essentially what this all comes down to. Because we do not make them here. You know, we have to basically get them from Taiwan for the most part. But you are going to be holding your breath for a long time if you think the CHIPS Act is going to save anything. So Gretchen Whitmer could do her cringe CHIPS Act ad thing and just go ahead and keep pushing this government propaganda that this stuff's going to work. But you should really look into this stuff because it's not going to work. And if you really want to see what's going on with the tech industry right now, look at the layoffs. It's crazy. Intel laid people off. I saw AMD laid people off. There's so many different industries so many different companies in tech that are laying people off left, right, and center. Like, the economy is hurting. And when tech has to lay people off en masse, that's a bad sign. But you're going to sit there and tell me that the government funding these things is going to save anything. It's not going to save crap. What a lot of this comes down to is it's just a holdover from history. We are obsessed with the idea that like during the Great Depression, FDR created all these jobs because people didn't have work, and that saved the country. Well, there's nothing there that proves that FDR saved anything. FDR is grossly overrated. The one thing that saved his country was World War II. FDR came in with his sights set on he was not a capitalist at all. And he definitely had his sights set on, a socialist idea for America. World War II came along, and the military-industrial complex, made out too big on that. So we decided we're going to we'll do this oligopoly thing, which we do now, which is where major corporations own, the share of most industries. Like if I go grocery shopping, I don't shop at mom and pop's market. I shop at Meijer, Walmart, Target, whatever. If I buy car parts, I don't go to Jim's car parts store. I go to AutoZone. I go to Murray's. I go to Napa, right? That's how it works. My neighbors are doing it. They're out there screaming at each other again. Oh, it's so stressful. Happens all the time. On Saturday. So yeah, it was a very, very cringe thing for her to do. But this idea that the government is, somehow going to fix any industry is laughable to me. And that's what you're going to get out of a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz presidency, is this idea that we're going to save you. We'll save you from a virus. We'll save you from the evil guy that doesn't like democracy. We'll save you from a shortage of supplies in an industry. We'll save you from having to hear mean things and hate speech. We'll save you. World's not a safe place no matter what the government wants to think. There's nothing they can do to save you. So, there was something that I wanted to find it here. Man, these people are fighting outside. It's so annoying. Happens all the time. Crap, what is it? Let me see if I can pull it up. If you have the Substack app, you should follow me on Substack. Check out the link below. You can get all my content emailed to you, or you can get it through the link. Or through the link to the app. You can see my videos, my written work, listen to the podcast, to check it out. But I did share a thing on there. There's a notes feature, which works very similarly to X. And I'm trying to find out, let's see if I can find my notes here. There's a lot of like lefty types on there. I'm pretty sure the company that itself is very much a leftist thing, because if you go and look and see like their recommended reads, it's always they always recommend like leftist newsletters about government and politics and stuff. Come on. How do you do this? How do you do this? Okay, never mind. What the heck? There was an article I had. I don't know how to find the notes I've posted. Hang on. Let me pause this real quick. I found it. All right, so this is a story that I thought was funny. I kind of want to just talk about this. America's tax gap is projected to hit nearly $700 billion, according to the IRS. The tax gap, the difference between what is owed and what paid to government, widened to $696 billion in the tax year of 2022. The federal government is losing hundreds of billions of dollars annually in tax revenue, with the main culprit being underreporting by taxpayers, according to the IRS. And the tax gap is going to be calculated to be $696 billion. Cry me a river, dude. Boo freaking who. Like, really? I'm supposed to I'm supposed to care that the government can't steal enough of our money. And this is another thing you need to really, really understand. That's ridiculous about government. How is there a tax gap? Tell me. There's a tax gap because they know how much money's missing. Why do they know how much money's missing? Oh, because they already know how much money you're supposed to pay in your taxes. You know, they have to estimate, like, they can estimate how much money you have to pay, and then I have to sit here and waste my time doing all that work for them. So then I can get a letter back saying, oh, I didn't do this right, or I didn't do this right. I get penalized for this and that. One time, I'm not even kidding, like a year ago, I got a $10 royalty deposit from a Cura question that I didn't report to the IRS because it was like, oops, I forgot it was $10. Oh, they came after me. Like, I had to pay almost $50 in fines for that. Now you tell me how that works. How is it that I have to pay you $50 for $10 that I made? It didn't cost you anything. But you're going to sit here and make me pay you more money than I made because it didn't cost you a dime. I'm so tired of this. This is so infuriating to me. And I promise you, if you're a small business owner and you want to work for yourself and you want to be an entrepreneur or whatever, sell products, there will be nothing on earth that will love to come in and destroy your life like the government when it comes to taxes. Oh, you made money? Well, you owe it all to us. It's a joke. The system's broken. We can't carry on like this forever. I'm supposed to sit here and feel sorry for you, the government, that you don't have enough money to spend. But the issue is they will continue to spend the money regardless if they have it or not. Regardless if it's coming in from taxation or not. It's just, you have to understand. This goes back to the voting thing. Doesn't matter who you vote for, they're going to spend that money whether you want them to or not. Do you know anybody in the country who's like, oh, spend? Screw it, just spend it all. Who cares about the debt? Like if you go up to a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian or a whatever, and you're like, man, we're $30 trillion in debt. Does anybody go, so? And? Does anybody, I mean, like, no, it's a terrifying concept. But they'll spend it anyways. They'll continue to rack it up. I saw this weird, it was some statistic, and it's a statistic, and it said, oh, well, if Trump's president, it'll cost us $7 trillion added to the debt. If Kamala is president, it'll cost us $1 trillion. And I'm like, okay, is it because Trump's going to spend the crap out of government money? If he does, that's not good. Like I would, spending less would be better. No, that's not the problem. The problem is tax cuts. The problem is Trump wants to cut taxes for people more. So you have the media trying to convince you that cutting taxes is going to harm the country. And it's because he's going to cut the taxes of the wealthy, right? Well, he's going to cut the taxes of everybody. And yeah, he has the tariff thing, which is stupid. I think it's dumb. And they're like, well, he wants to have a tax on, a 20% tax on purchases and whatever. Well, the premise behind that is you would get rid of all the other taxes you pay and just pay that, which I think is like stupid because taxes are dumb, but they're not being truthful about what this tax is about. Either way, though, they're trying to make you feel sympathetic for Kamala Harris because she won't cut taxes, and therefore the government can recuperate a lot of the money that they blow. It's just, dude, it's insanity. It's the definition of insanity. You do the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. And we're at a point now. Our government is so federally, it's nationalized. It's a federally nationalized economy. The only way to keep it going is to spend. Because it's so dependent now on these crappy government programs. And the issue is, I read this in a video I did the other day, but for every dollar our government spends, it depreciates. It basically, in the end, it'll be worth 50 cents. And that's going to continue going forward, and we have to keep spending no matter what. So in total, it's like, you just have to realize the whole point of what I'm getting at here is, with this whole podcast episode, is you need to educate people in your life as to what the problem is. And it's not you or me or the people we argue with or the people that disagree with us politically. Well, they do to a degree because they support these people, but whether those people have supporters or not, let's say whether you disagree with Democrats, let's say, well, whether the Democratic Party has supporters or not, or supports the policies they're going to do what they want to do anyways. And the problem with the Democratic Party is a lot of the people that vote for them get the messaging from the Democratic Party. So a lot of what they like, their principles or their belief, whatever they claim to have principles or beliefs, but whatever they're into in the moment, it starts, ground zero is coming from the government. That's the crazy thing about this. Everything that like your Democrat friends would have stood for 10, 15 years ago, they are the complete opposite in stance now. They would have been against Big Pharma. Now they support Big Pharma. They would have been anti-war. Now they're pro-war. They would have been anti-censorship. Now they're pro-censorship. And you name it. And where does that messaging come from? Top down, the messaging comes from the government. And they buy into it. That's the reality. Their whole thing is dictated by the government, right? So that's the thing you have to realize about them, is that instead of being like, well, yeah, but they agree with whatever they're doing. Well, a lot of the problem is because that's where they're just manipulated into believing that that's what they want to, right? But it doesn't matter. Okay, so you're a Republican. What do Republicans want from their people, the people they're voting for? Well, they want the Republicans to push back. They want them to say no. They want them to put their foot down. They want them to take advantage of a majority in the House and the Senate. Do they do that? No. Because the Republicans in Congress and in the Senate, well, they want to just continue to fight for the uniparty, right? That's what they want. Man, I'm shutting this window. Oh my gosh, it happens all the time on the weekends. It's classy. That's what it is. Oh boy. So you just have to realize, like, no matter what, they're going to do what they want to do. So instead of going at each other's throats, and instead of sitting here getting triggered or pissed off by political ads, or you're watching football or whatever, Just realize the whole thing is a broken thing. It's a joke, and it needs to be fixed. Do I have the solution to the problem? I don't have a quick fix for it. But it's certainly going to start with us not being so freaking hostile to each other all the time, because they are using us as pawns in this larger game of like, they want us attacking each other so we can be distracted from what they're doing, from how bad they suck at things. Think about how many people's families have been destroyed, okay, over politics. And you got family members who will scream till they're blue in the face supporting Trump, and you have people that will scream till they're blue in the face supporting Kamala, or supporting Republicans, or supporting Democrats. And they have you out there doing the fighting for them. But you get nothing in return. Nothing. And all the money they spend, you get nothing. Listen, I understand what a lot of the Democrats think. Well, like, a lot of them think that being a Democrat makes them a good person. Well, why? Because the Democrats care about issues that matter. They care about social issues that matter. They care about helping immigrants that have a hard life, and they care about helping, criminals, and they care about helping the poor. And it's like, we don't need the government to do those things for us. And it's not the government that makes you a good person or not. Whatever you support from the government does not make you a good person or a bad person. And we need to quit doing that to ourselves. There is a larger thing at play here. It is really a system against the people that it works for. And I'll bet you think that you feel like you're doing your work for the government, because you kind of are. You're going to work to pay your taxes, to give the government your money. You want to abide by all the regulations the government makes you abide by. And did you get a say in any of those regulations or any of those new taxes or any? No, you didn't get a say in any of that. So as you sit here and you watch these stupid commercials, these political ads, commercial break after commercial break after commercial break, don't let it just destroy your psyche, because the whole thing is there to try to destroy your psyche. They want that to be the case. They want you to feel so discouraged that you want to turn to something, and you're going to turn to Kamala, or you're going to turn to Trump, you're going to turn to who's ever running in your Senate or whatever. And the whole thing is a broken system. And it doesn't deserve how you feel, honestly. It doesn't deserve you feeling like this. We're so close to this election being over. And just please, for the love of God, stay safe. There's going to be a lot of crazy people out there whenever the results come down from either side. So I would just lay low. All right, well, I'm going to call this video here. In turn, just try to help your friends and family realize the truth. There's nothing about what's going on right now that's going to save anything. Trump can't save you. Kamala can't save you. The Democrats can't save you. Republicans can't save you. We put way too much into our politics. Way too much trust. Way too much dependency. Big guy upstairs has a better plan than that. So, all right. Well, please like my video. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share my show. And I appreciate all the fans. Or all the fans. I don't really have that many fans. All the subscribers that are subscribed. And I appreciate anybody who gives my podcast a shot. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. I'm trying to grow. So if you could continue to help me grow, that would be fantastic. I will not be back tomorrow. I'll be back Monday, though. Back to my regular 5 days a week, 6 days a week schedule thing here. So, all right. Bye.